everyone, my name is Tori and I work for Get to College, and we are coming to you with tips and things to know. In the past we've talked about how to find your college fit and what school choice is best for you. We're going to discuss essays soon, just a lot of good information when it comes to college knowledge and getting you or your student ready for college. So today on this rainy Wednesday, I want to talk to you guys about resumes. Because we at Get to College truly believe that a resume is a really large part of your student's journey into college, and we feel like students need to start thinking about this now, even in the craziness and the uncertainty, that it's something to be thinking about and working on. So just want to take some time today to talk to you guys about why it's important to have a resume, some common myths that we hear from students or parents or counselors about resumes, and then what you can do to get started working on it. So the first myth that we hear is, I don't need a high school resume. I'm not applying for a job right now. A lot of times when you hear the word resume, you think applying for a job. I need a resume for a job. Well, yes, a lot of times when you're applying for a job, you do need a resume, but that's not the only reason. High school students, when you're thinking about going to college, it's really important that you start working on your high school resume for other reasons besides working. One reason that you need a high school resume is for scholarships. You're going to see a lot of scholarship opportunities, maybe through other organizations like the local bank or community service, like scholarships like that they say, hey, we need to see your resume. We want to know what you've been involved in. You need a resume before you start applying for that scholarship, because the last thing you want to do when you're writing essays, getting ready to apply for college, is hustling to rush through a college resume, a high school resume. So that's one reason. When you're applying for scholarships and other opportunities like that, you need to have a high school resume. The next one is when you get to college and you want to run for SGA or a position in a fraternity or sorority or some type of campus organization, a lot of them will ask for a high school resume. So we're just trying to get you guys ahead of the game, getting ready for what you need to do once you get to college, getting scholarship opportunities, and then it's an added bonus if you want to apply for a job, you already have your high school resume. So that first myth, we want to bust it. You do need a high school resume, whether you are a freshman in high school or a senior getting ready to graduate. It's time to start working on it. It is never too early to start working on your high school resume. So what I want to do for a second is talk to you guys on what exactly is included on that, because another myth that we hear is, well, I don't have anything to put on my resume. That's not true, okay? So we work with a lot of students who, maybe you're a high school athlete, so all of your afternoons you can't get a job because you're practicing. We totally understand that. There's a resume style that fits each different person. Maybe you have a job and you work 2 to 6 every day and every Saturday and Sunday. Or maybe you're really involved in your community and you do community service once a week. Or maybe, like I mentioned, you're an athlete. There's a resume template for everyone. So it's important that you don't just kind of say, oh, well, I don't have anything to put on it, so I don't need it. No, what I want to do is go through each section that can be on your high school resume, so we can kind of talk through what you can put on there, because like I mentioned earlier, you don't want to rush through and start writing stuff on your resume. You want it to be thought out, and you want to be adding to it regularly, because I'll mention this a little bit later. This is a working document, okay? You're not going to do it one time and then it's done. Once I work on it once, it's done. No, what you do in 9th grade will build on your sophomore year, then your junior year, and then by the time you get to senior year, you'll have listed all these, because it's important that you know your high school resume only includes your freshman year of high school all the way to your senior year. If you coached a t-ball team when you were in 7th grade, that doesn't count, okay? You only want to put activities, education, awards that you received from 9th grade on to high school. That's what you include on your high school resume, okay? So let's talk about the actual document. While I'm talking about this, we want to put some links in the comments for you guys. We have resume templates, and as I'm talking through this later, if you want to go back and look at them, you'll see what I'm saying. On our resource page on the Get to College website, we have resources where we have different templates. Like I mentioned, the student who's really involved in the community and has community service hours, you can go and you can check that template out. or a different one if you have a lot of work experience. So go check those templates out on our Get to College website. And if you pull them up and you're looking and you're like, man, I still need some help, please don't hesitate to contact us. You can Facebook message us, Instagram DM us, email us, call our center. We're happy to help. But yeah, so there are different resume templates that we do offer on our website for free, so please go access those. We'll put those in the comments here. But let's talk a little bit about the actual resume and what it's gonna look like, what you're gonna include on it. And the first thing is gonna be your education. Okay, so at the top of your resume, you're gonna have your name and a cell phone number normally for someone to contact you, and also an email address. I like to tell students when I'm working with them one-on-one and when we're speaking at high schools that it's really important that you have a professional email address. You don't want to be princesscutie55@gmail.com or footballstar22, okay? When you are creating a college email and putting it on your resume for people to contact you, keep it very simple. Say things like your first and last name and 2020@gmail.com, or your first initial and your last name at 2020@gmail.com. You can have some letters and some numbers, but you want it to be very, the person who's looking at your email has no doubt that it's you and that it's professional. Okay, that's the first thing they see on your resume is your name and your contact information. Next is your education. Education is a big piece because you're gonna list what high school you're at. And then if you'd like to, we like to tell students that you just take it on a person by person basis where you can say, okay, I'm gonna put my GPA on here and I'm also gonna put my ACT score. Depending on what you're using your resume for, you wanna list your ACT score and GPA on there for them. Also, some students, this is completely up to the student, will list if they're in any honors classes or AP classes. You can list those on there as well. What that would look like is you would just list the classes under education and the year that you took them. If you completed them, you can put the grade as well if you'd like. There's lots of different ways to do a resume. It's gonna look different for everyone, but you can list the different courses that you've taken if they've been honors or AP on your resume. Okay, so your contact information, education, and then the next piece that you can put is activities. In activities, you can include community service, but also just realize that when someone asks me, well, what do you mean activities? I'm saying anything that you've helped with, participated in, that you haven't gotten paid. Okay, work experience, that's a whole nother tab. We're gonna talk about work experience, what you need to put there and everything like that. But activities is, what have you been involved in? Are you in clubs at your school? Are you an officer in those clubs? All of that stuff can be listed. I was working with a junior a couple months back and she sat down and she was like, well, I did this. Well, 20 minutes later, she remembered that she had done 2 more things. That's why I said it's a working document. You're gonna remember that club that you were in your freshman year, or you're gonna remember that community service project you did that weekend. So just be sure to start writing these things down and remembering them because we wanna include them in your activities. Some other examples of activities, like I mentioned, are community service, or maybe your religious organization, your church went and served somewhere, you served at VBS. All of these things you can include on your resume because it's important to realize as we talk about activities and community service that when a college or an organization or an employer looks at your resume, they want to see what sets you apart. Your resume is your showcase, what makes you different. So it's important that you keep writing down these things that you're involved in because that's what makes you extra special. Okay, so don't get caught in the, well, I don't have anything to put on mine. If after you hear all of this and you look at our resume templates and you truly believe you have nothing to put on your resume, give us a call. We'd be happy to talk through that with you and figure out where you can get plugged in, where are some community service opportunities and things like that, okay? Top of your resume is your contact information. Next, you've got your education. After that, you've got your activities and community service. Next is awards. Another section, you don't have to include all of these, but these are some great ones to include. Awards, maybe you got the 9th grade science award, or you got the friendliest your sophomore year. Those are the kind of things that you put on your awards. Maybe you got the teacher's award for this specific class, or the specific high school award, the school-wide award. Those are it's a brag sheet. Okay, you want to, when your parents take you and you see your aunts and uncles and they start telling them everything that you've done, that's basically what your resume is. All right, you're showing them this is everything that I've done, everything that I've been awarded. So just be sure to list those awards on there. Parents, start writing them down now because you're going to forget by the time they're a senior. Students, start writing them down now because it's important to include them. Even if it doesn't seem that big of a deal, it looks great on your resume, okay? The last one is work experience. Work experience can be a tab. You don't always have to have work experience. Don't think because you didn't have a job when you were in high school that you don't have a lot of experience. No, it's okay. But work experience is good. Maybe that's your involvement. Maybe you have a job every single day and that's what you do. It's okay to put that. It's great to put that on your resume. But when you're putting that, say you work at a fast food restaurant or you're working at a daycare or wherever you're working, we want to make sure that when you're putting that information on your resume, that you're putting really great information under it, the duties that you've done, that it's not just, oh, I performed this task and this task. No, we want to sell what you're doing. We want to say that not only did you perform this task, but you excelled at it, and these are the things that you did within that task. There are some examples of that online. You'll find different resources. We'd be happy to help you do that. So you never want to cut corners when it comes to a resume because, like I mentioned, it is your brag sheet. So you want to give as much information about yourself as you possibly can under your work experience, okay? So when you're looking at your resume as a whole, you're going to start with contact information, have education, activities and community service, work experience, and then your awards on there. And last, it's not always required, but a lot of schools will ask for references. I want to take a little bit of time to talk about references because this is really important. My sister's a teacher, and a lot of times what will happen is people will come to her the day before. Hey, can you write me a reference letter? Students, you do not need to ask your teachers or your counselors or your family friends for a reference letter the day before it's due, okay? It's really important that you give these people that you're requesting for a reference letter 1 or 2 weeks so that they have time to prepare that and do it really well, because you don't want a reference letter, you want a good reference letter. So one thing that you can start doing, if you're a junior or senior, and seniors, you're looking at starting to get scholarship applications in, and you want, yes, I see my counselor friends joining in. Counselors do not want you coming in their office the day a reference letter's due saying, can you write this for me? Because guess what? They'll write it, but I can assure you they won't do it with a smile. And you want them to have your resume in their hand and they're like, yes, I remember they were involved with this and I love what they do and I want to write them a glowing reference letter. So be sure that you're giving them that early, the information they need. So think about it now. If you're about to start your senior year, think about 3 people. You can have a counselor, a teacher, a family member, or a community member, a church member, anything like that. Think of their names, and then in the next few weeks, call them, email them. Hey, I'm getting ready to apply for some scholarships. Would you be willing to write me a good reference letter? And then over the next few weeks, get them your resume. Or if you already have the scholarship application, get them that as well. Get them the scholarship application and your resume so they can know what you're doing. Because I promise you're going to get the best reference letter if you give teachers and counselors time to write it and your information, okay? So not all resumes have to have references on the bottom of them, but it is good that you kind of have them in the back of your mind so that you know that you're prepared if an application or a school does ask for references, okay? So I've given you a lot of information about resumes. Just know that they're important. You don't want to wait the last minute to do your high school resume, and I want you to remember a few things. 1, be sure that you're not doing your resume on hot pink paper or army green paper, okay? Your information on your resume is what's gonna be standout material, not the actual paper it's on. So we don't wanna put it on this really bright paper when we send it in. We wanna put it on white or cream paper because what's on it is what's gonna stand out. Next, don't use a really frilly or dramatic font. We wanna use a font that's professional and a lot of times they say make it 1 page, but if you've got so much, we don't want to take anything that's going to add to it off. So don't let that stress you out, but you want to use about a 12-point font to make it look professional. But last but not least, we are here to help you. There's nothing you're ever going to do when it comes to college, going to college, that get to college is going to say you're on your own. all right? Especially in these crazy times, we want to be here to help you do your college resume and everything and all of the above, okay? So if you have any questions, check out that link with our resources, message us, call us, whatever. We'd be happy to help. You can get started on your high school resume today. We know you're going to do it great. If you have any questions, just let us know. Thank you, guys.